have like for generations, you see that there have been like entrepreneurs doing the startup, but there were never a time when they generated a marketplace where they can sell the idea. Do you find a single website where you find ideas for a startup, like which is a very successful startup and they are just selling ideas? No. Why? Because there is no demand for it. And since there is no demand for it, supply will never follow. And even if it will follow, it is going to die. You get my point, right? Like some of you, if you want, you can unmute yourself and like even ask me and stop me and something like that, right? So the point of what again I'm trying to like establish here is a startup idea in itself means nothing. It's zero basically. What matters the most is execution. Now people talk a lot about execution and other thing, and I'll also come on that point. And that's essentially not even the topic of our today's session, so I'll not get deep into it. But point is that idea in itself means nothing. What it means, like what actually matters is the execution, the way you do the execution. Now, to do the execution, first of all, you need certain motivation to do it, and lot of things, like other variables also. So, what I would I have seen is that generally entrepreneurs does this kind of mistake is that they think that to start a business, I need first of all a very, very great, amazing, mind-blowing idea. No, that's not true. You don't need a mind-blowing idea to start a startup, basically. I don't say that you need a bad idea to start a business also. That is also not correct. What you need is a good initial idea to hunch upon. The first initial idea, that looks good and for with certain parameters that I'll explain. So to just start with, because not a single company today you find in the world, all successful companies, that they stick like even today still stick to their original idea what they were. They started with some, like Netflix started with some DVD streaming, right? DVD selling, right? And today they are the video streaming company. You see, like your vice chancellor, he was also speaking the same point, right? You see how Airbnb started, and what they are today. It's completely different, right? So every company basically they start with some problem that they want to solve immediately, and eventually they broaden their market, they broaden their understanding, the expertise comes in, and eventually feel like the problem that which were not solvable in past, which they were not able to do it, now they are able to do. Market also evolves with time, and accordingly then you start increasing and pushing your pie biggest for the largest set of problems. So the first mistake the people think is that they need a very, very great idea to start. No, that's not correct. Second thing is, the mistake that the generally entrepreneur do is that they think, they have, like the first thought what comes to mind, like they get fascinated very easily. Let's say it this way. So this is the second mistake that they do. They get fascinated very, very shortly, like very easily. Or like what they will do, like in the morning when you get up and you find the idea and you think, oh wow, that's $1 billion idea. Let me just start doing it. That's also not correct. That's another mistake, because see, if you start a business genuinely or sincerely, you will be at least giving it 3-4 years of your time just to see whether it's really getting in a good direction or not. Like maybe a significant amount of time. Don't you think it's logical little bit that you should sit down, brainstorm, think about it, whether it will work or not, do some surveys with the users, make some prototype. What is prototype? And I assume little bit, prototype or MVP, like minimum viable product, are like you want to start something, and it's like some idea, then you launch with a very, very smaller set of features to solve that. That is called MVP. Like एक छोटा सा कुछ किया and देखा कि ये work हो रहा है कि नहीं. Like the basic features that you launch, and you see whether people are responding to it, whether people are ready to buy for it. Strangers and they are giving money for that product or not. So that's the second mistake people generally entrepreneur do. First generation entrepreneur, I have been doing it, that whatever idea comes to your mind, you think, oh, that's the killer idea. And third mistake, like uh, that every entrepreneur like I won't say this is a mistake basically, but it's more like they don't reach out to the other entrepreneurs. Like we think that people are not approachable or something like that. It's not like that. You have to raise your hand and ask for the help. People are there to help you out. So now, given this kind of mistake that everybody generally do, now the question would be how to test an idea. Like if I get an idea, or are you all following me? Or anybody having any questions so far on this point that I spoke?
Morning, sir.
Hi.
Malika Nigam this side. So as you talked about challenges in the market and the opinion of entrepreneurs. So for example, if we introduce a new idea, so how can we test it? So we can introduce it in the market, and then we can see the reaction of people and how they are interacting towards the product. So how will the competitors play a role in that?
Oh, wonderful question. And I'll tell you one framework today, in the course of our discussion now, that just with little bit of money, you can test your idea. I'll come to that. And also about the competition that you asked me. So that also I will touch upon. Great, Malika. So, your question is leading me to my next part, basically, that how to test an idea. So I had thought of let me first tell you how to get an idea, and then we go to how to test an idea. Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So how to get an idea, first of all, for any startup, I would personally see it in different way. Many other startups have